Did you?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to King Shit Talk. I am your host, Salid, and this is my co-host, Kev. How you doing, Kev?
Oh, what up, man? What up?
Man, at the end of another long week, a lot of people got them long weekends coming now because of the holiday Monday,
Oh yeah,
but I'm just trying to get through this next hour.
let's do it, man. Let's
And
do
y'all know normally on Saturdays we doing smooth Saturdays, but I didn't do an episode this past Thursday. So tonight it's like King Shit Talk meets Smooth Saturday. So we're gonna have a semi-serious topic, and if something smooth comes about, then so be it.
it.
But
We go from there.
yeah, yeah. Thank you guys though. Thank everybody that's watching on YouTube. Thank everybody that's watching on Facebook. I really appreciate you. And we sometimes as parents have it really hard. I know kids have it pretty rough, but we as parents have it pretty rough too. And there are some things that we deem as normal as far as things that we deal with when it comes to our children. You know, like getting calls from school, you know, your kid gets in a fight, or your daughter might have a first crush and then she see him handing another girl a milk at lunch, and then all of a sudden her heart is broken. You know, those are the type things that we deem as normal type stuff to deal with. But this is 2023, and I think the days of that quote unquote normal stuff are gone. I think those times are way past us now, and we have different things on our plates right now. Some of those things, if you guys can look at the title of the episode, is Trans LGBTQ Parents' Feelings. And what I mean by that is a lot of people didn't really dig too much into this topic as far as it comes to minors until Zaya Wade, who is Dwayne Wade's transgender child. And I'm not sure it has, I know we're supposed to say she now, but has the change happened yet? Do you know, Kev?
Nah, I ain't sure. I mean, I know everything on the outside has changed, been changed, but I don't know if he or she, however, is the best way for me to say it, has went through fully with the total transformation or not. I ain't too sure.
Yeah, because she's they say she's a model now.
Hmm.
She totally dresses as a girl. She's
Oh yeah.
16 years old right now. For those that don't know what transgender is, it is when the gender identity differs from the sex that they were assigned to at birth, which is basically, you know, when you hear them say, I'm a girl in a boy's body or a boy in a girl's body, or things like that. And Zaya was really the only one that I had heard about until I did some uh research. Okay, hold on. Jessica said that her biological mother is still fighting against it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
heard.
okay.
I heard that.
Now she Dwayne Wade has custody, right?
Yeah, Dwayne Wade has custody, and I heard that um, Zaya's biological mother is fighting against it. But one thing about that money, and they got custody, they
Yeah.
kind of, she kind of like null and void. You don't hear too much noise that she makes about it because it's kind of she kind of so far gone with it at this point. If you ask me, I don't think it ain't gonna be no change in it. So, in my opinion, she might as well just chill because it ain't no turning back at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that I mean it's from what I've seen, I don't think that Zaya is going to be changing her mind
Nah,
anytime soon,
not
if at all.
not at all.
And
Mm-mm.
I saw something. It was a documentary or something the other day where there was this woman, or was it a man? Yeah, it was a woman. A woman said that she uh identified as a man. So she started going through the changes, the hormones, the whole nine. And I think
Mhm.
it said that she did this for about a year or 2, and then because of the hair that was growing on her face, the voice, and all of this, she decided, "Oh, I don't wanna do this anymore,"
Right.
and went back to being a woman. So, in situ now she was a grown woman, though, she wasn't a minor, and we're gonna be talking about, the youth today, but that I thought about that when I was like, "I wonder how many situations there are just like that, where you
Mhm.
decide, 'Hey, I wanna be one thing,' and then it comes you get to a point where you say, 'Okay, no, I don't wanna do this anymore.'" Is it one of those things that are like changing shirts, or are people really deeply feeling like, "Hey, I'm not in the shell that I'm supposed to be in?" And that's hard for us to answer because we aren't in that position.
Right.
But what do you think about that when it comes to the youth, a minor, and you deal with kids all the time. Have you dealt with any situations like that?
I don't really dive into it because at the realm I work with kids, that's not my decision to try to talk them out of it, to try to ask why. Like I'm not a therapist or whatever. But so if they want to talk about it, I let them feel like I'm indifferent about it. Whatever it is you choose to do, if you want to talk to me about it, that's fine. And I haven't had that much. But I kind of feel, in my personal opinion, a child, like, for they're too young to make that big a life decision. I mean, if you and then you might say, oh, they should, it's their body, they should be able to make their own decision. Like, if I let my son make his own decision, he'll get up and eat candy for breakfast every day. You know, I, you know what I'm saying? You can't let them make, and I won't even let them make that decision, let alone I'm going to be a girl when I was born a boy. So I just feel like that's too big of a decision for me to allow you to try to make because maybe you had a few things that influence you. Their minds are like squirrels in a park. You know what I'm saying? They just running back and forth. So, but then again, also in my opinion, if when he gets 18, and I would hate if it happened that way, but if he get 18, 21, feel like, hey, this is what I want to do, I'm gonna have to just bite that bullet and say, "You sure? Let's talk about it or whatever." But then I'll have to accept it because now he's an adult. It's my responsibility to make decisions for him until he reaches that age. But kids that I deal with at school with it, I don't try to persuade them either way or the other. I just, because I'm not their parent. But with me being a parent of my kids, that's the way I feel about it.
Now, do you think that there's a difference in how we look at those type things as parents when we come from different backgrounds and things like that? Because something else I found out, which I didn't know at all, was that Elon Musk has a son who has started going through the change, saying they're transgender. And
Hmm.
when his son turned 18, he went to the court to try to get everything dismissed from Musk. He said he wants nothing to do with Musk. He does not identify with him at all. And so he's walking around now as a girl, as a woman rather, and they're
Right.
estranged because of that. Now, do you think that, especially when we talk about the black community and other ethnicities, do you think that we make it harder for our children to come to us and tell us something like that because of how, we were raised or the kind of atmosphere that we have in the home? Do you think that other ethnicities make it pretty much more of an open door policy when it comes to that?
I would say I know a lot. I know some people, black people that will have a fit and make it very uncomfortable for their child to come out. But then again, I know some that's on the opposite end of that. So I don't want to say that it's the ethnicity. I think that what these kids are exposed to nowadays, even if they get a little curious, they're like, oh, okay, and it's much more accepted. So I personally don't believe it's the ethnicities because I've seen it from all ethnicities, and I've seen people. Um, act on both sides of the fence with it. So I wouldn't say that personally. The Elon Musk thing, if you maybe he was having a fit about it because you cutting yourself off from him, and boy, he got a lot of money. I'm one of you cutting yourself off from his money too. You know
That's
what I'm
what she
saying? You
said,
just
yeah,
like, oh Lord,
because
he or she or whoever is getting some type of money from him. I think.
her
Which he's gonna
belief.
go out there and be broke.
Hey, Elon Musk said that he calls her a communist because she
Mm.
said, and she even told the judge, she said that she feels like all rich people are evil. And that's why she went to court to try to get herself separated from him. She was like, I don't want no money. I don't want your money.
See, she going through a lot. See, she going through a lot mentally to even first say. I mean, and that's a valid, feeling. She can feel that way. All rich people are evil, but first of all, I don't agree with that, and I'm trying to get there. And I'm gonna be one of the one. I'm gonna be one of the first ones who ain't evil. Just let me get rich
And
and let me
who
try that.
knows and who knows what she's seen, growing up with her
Right?
dad. I mean, she
Yeah.
may have seen some
Mm,
things that we'll never know
yeah.
or understand or see, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
she may have a valid reason for saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
rich people are evil."
Yeah, and she probably feel like that genre of people, is just everything she sees is just an evil atmosphere. So, she may have a valid point.
Now, how would your parents have dealt with it or felt about it if you would have uh came to them saying, "Hey, I'm I know what I look like, but
Yeah,
I'm a woman on the inside."
man. Well, my mom would have been so hot because see, my daddy, even they split up when I was 8. My dad had 5 boys and 1 girl. My mama had all boys, and she just don't know nothing but how to raise boys. So it come with a little more pressure as a
Mm,
boy doing it. Man, my mom would have been so hot. I ain't gonna lie. She's that type that she would have been like, "Boy, you crazy. Boy, you better get out my face with all that." She would have really flipped the script. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I know she would have been having that. What about yours?
yeah, Tiki said, "I'm glad Boosie ain't her daddy." Yeah, definitely, because
Right.
Boosie would have made a song about it though. And you know
Right.
how he feels about homosexuality and all that anyway. Um,
Hmm.
my parents, boy, my my dad would have probably back then, he'd have probably tried to beat it out of me.
Yeah.
He'd have said, "Oh,
Uh.
by the time this beating over with, you ain't gonna you ain't gonna wanna
Uh.
be no girl no." But then
Yep.
now when I look at stuff like that now, I have to look back on how my parents were raised, what time they came
Hmm.
up in. Because
Yeah.
like I said earlier, with this going on now, it's becoming a huge thing now, after because I don't even think it was this big when Caitlyn Jenner, when Bruce Jenner went through the
Yeah.
change. It was almost like it was news for a day or two, and then everybody just accepted it.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
now there are so many darts being thrown at it, whether it's a boy or girl or man or woman that talks
Hmm.
about it. It's like so much scrutiny and so much hate being thrown at it. And
So
so
let
it
let
makes go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was gonna ask you a question. Finish your statement though. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it makes you where it made me wonder. I wonder how long, you know, this stuff or these thoughts have been around though. And nobody talked about it or it got swept under. So I did some research on that too, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, where do you think it stems from? Because you might have a male that like maybe got they always around their mama, they with a single mom. Their mom always talking to their auntie and they always and their mom and aunties and stuff always in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, I don't like for it to be like that. I'd be, hey, no man, no boy, no need to be in their mama mouth and stuff like that, and pick up those feminine ways. I think sometimes males may feel like that's what they want to be because they get brought up around all that feminine energy, but they're not really that. So where do you think it stems from? The fact that they're always around it coming up because there's some boys I'm like, nah, he ain't gay. He just kind of got some feminine ways. Or do you think? Because some people say they born like that. I personally don't
Yeah,
believe that because you got to kind of get in the mix of the work. How you gonna be born that way? You got to begin to like a boy if you're a boy. You know what I'm saying? You got to
yeah.
begin to like a girl if you're a girl. So, where do you think it stems from?
Uh, well, first off, let me say Mark James St. Patrick is in the building. Can you hear us, Mark?
Yo,
Yes,
yo,
I
what up,
can.
Mark?
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I
well,
can hear you. I
Yeah, I
can
get
hear you.
you. Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
I was about making sure my mic was like, all right. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Um, well, what we're talking about, Mark, I'll catch you up to speed quick as possible. Trans and LGBTQ minors, children, and we're talking about how there used to be a time where pretty much the same stuff was going on that parents had to deal with. Kids fighting, kids getting bad grades, lashing out a little bit, stuff like children saying, I don't want to be or I want to move out. While I'm 15, 16 years old, they divorcing themselves from the parents or they're coming to them telling them they're trans, all of these different things that parents deal with now. We're talking about how we would deal with them,
Hmm.
how our parents would probably deal with them, what we feel about it. So that's basically what the convo is about. Now to answer your question, Kev, about
Right,
where do I think it stems from, I think super access is where a lot of it comes from. Everything
right,
is so accessible now with because there were some things like just look back when we were growing up. There were some things that we did not know even existed until we became adults. You
right.
know, if we were to, let's say, be in fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade, and a boy would have asked one of us to kiss him, automatically we went, wait a minute, no, you know what I mean? Get away from me, or that's not that. But because of
Mhm.
access now, and with things that are seen, whether it's cartoons, whether it's music, or whatever the case may be, now that same thing could go on. And because of the access of seeing so much stuff, and we're not even talking about right or wrong right now, but most of it that's being seen is portraying is okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. It is
Right.
okay. It is right. So when you throw
Mhm.
all of that in the mix, it doesn't sometimes, and especially depending on the mindset of the child, they might not even have those feelings that's strong like that. But because
Right.
it's different, because it's new, oh, you like me? Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just for
Mhm.
example, Rugrats has a, gay couple or something on there. So it's cool. It's all right. Maybe I can try this out. And
Right.
if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But there are certain things like that that I don't feel like is natural for a child to even be thinking about.
Right.
I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about um
Hmm.
sex or certain things like that at certain ages. Wasn't even thinking
Right.
about it. Now
But now
though,
it's
you
just
are
pushed on
pressed.
you so much, boy. Like even
You
the
are
show,
hard pressed to talk to a 6 year old.
I think they got people that want to normalize. You have people that like think like this. You know what? Kids, anybody, they can make their own decision. It should be normalized. And you got people like that that are in high places. For example, they came out with what's that show we used to watch? So I'm a big fan of having watching shows that I used to watch with my son now. You know what I'm saying? We go watch Good Burger, Keenan and Kel, all kind of cartoons that I used to watch, and we're watching now. So when they was coming out with a Proud Family, I'm like, bet, like I'm hyped. I'm like, next week they coming, man. We gonna watch that. Man, first episode they showing people be gay. I'm like, man, come on, man. They trying to force it on people like
I don't
this
think
is
forcing it.
normal.
I
You
don't
don't think they forcing it?
no, not at
No,
all.
The normal things that we watch, they're putting it in it. So
You
yeah, I can avoid it. I can not watch TV, but at the same time, I watch TV every day. Now they're putting it on everyday TV. So they're not forcing it, but they're normalizing it. I
Mm.
guess I can use that word. You don't think they're normalizing it?
So, if you want to look at the history of entertainment, just specifically, you think about when entertainment didn't have African Americans on it. Then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, you start pushing. If you think about the history of TV, when on what's the one with Carol O'Connor, the
With who?
Edith, George and Edie, George. Oh, you know which one I'm talking about. Where uh
It might be
the
before my time.
no, it's no the one where the dude Archie Bunker and
Oh, you
Edith,
talking
his
about
wife.
in the house?
I can't think of the
I mean,
name of the
not
show.
not in the house, but All in the Family.
All in the Family. All in the Family. You got to figure this is the first time George
Yeah,
Jefferson actually comes over there, and they're literally having racial bigotry on TV. They're doing this. But you have to think about blackface was us being allowed on TV. Then we actually came on
Mhm.
TV. So the way we feel about homosexuality is the way they felt about African Americans coming on TV. It's like now they're trying to push this
yeah,
this desegregation on us. A part of it is, I think, some of it could be natural, but also the progression of allowance, acceptance, women being on TV, women being blacks being on TV. As you progress, naturally, it's the next evolution is open to the sexual equality, open to physical equality, open to religious equality. So I don't necessarily think they're pushing it as much as it's pushing itself. It's Arthur Ashe. From Arthur
So
Ashe, Billie Jean King to now, it's accepted in sports. It's,
so through
yeah.
progression is becoming normalized. Would you agree with that statement?
I, I don't think it's becoming normalized. I think it's normal. It through progression, it's normal to eventually start seeing things that are normal happening. Like we all have somebody in our family who is this way. So eventually, if you think about it, big girls weren't a thing. Now we're starting to see big girls in through progression. It is starting to be people and saying this is just what the way life is. Why do we keep hiding it or masking it or putting this shade between life and what real life is? Let's just show real life. And homosexuality, unfortunately or fortunately, is a
Mhm.
part of life.
It's real life. Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
and
It's real
it has
life
been and
Mhm.
it has
for
been for
years.
a very long time.
Yeah.
For a
Matter of
Yeah.
fact,
very
the
long
Bible, even in the
Yeah,
Bible,
yeah.
it's
Mhm.
so if it's been in the part of the Bible, for it to be on TV now is just like if you can make it in the Bible, then buddy, you could be announced on TV. I mean, I'm
Hey,
just
so I think this is a good question to ask for parents to move forward. Do you think that you should try and um, keep your kids away from it, or let them just see it as normal and explain it? Because some people, I
I
see
think
people that on both sides. Some people try to, no, we're not watching this, we're not doing this, we're not being a part of this, or just, hey, it's normal, it's life, and let me just explain it.
I think there's
uh,
go ahead.
I think personally that it's impossible to shelter your
Keep them
children
from it.
from everything. It's impossible. I think the
Right.
best course of action is how not saying I'm a perfect father, but the way I parent, I let all of my children know that we have an open door policy. If there's
Hmm.
anything that you feel, think, or have experienced, you can come to me. Because I tell
Hmm.
people all the time, I think it's a I didn't think it was a gift while the things were going on, but the older I got, when I look back at my life and certain things that I experienced and things like that, I was like, I'm glad that I got to experience some things because if it comes up with any of my children, I know how to talk to them about it. I know how to explain it to them. I know how to, you know, help them see things a lot clearer than because if we leave things up to friends in the streets and whatever
Oh, yeah.
else, to
Hmm.
teach them, we all know how that goes.
Yeah. Ain't no telling
I
what
think you have to
narrative
have
they may
both.
paint of it.
Yeah.
I think you have to have both because in in our era, we had Playboy and Hustler and High Times and all of that. Now
Yep.
this stuff is just to click a button away.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
That's
quick.
it.
so I think
Hmm.
you with this. So I think that's what's changed. If you want to look at really what's changed, is information.
Right.
Information.
That's it.
When we were kids, if you wanted to know something, you had to go to the library. You had to get
Library.
it. You had to you had
Yep.
to log
Right.
on. You had to do it. You
Yeah.
had to go through dial up. You could somebody couldn't be on the
Yeah.
phone while you was trying.
Yeah.
Now you got kids who can sit in their room late at night, wake up
Right.
bored, and get a picture, TikTok it,
Hmm.
anything. And here it is. I remember one time my daughter, she was doing a research paper and something she wanted to find out something about what getting some head meant. She typed that thing in and the hub shot up on her phone. And what can you tell her? Like
Yeah.
her mom was like, I rebuked that in the name of you can rebuke all this in the name of Jesus. There's this thing that happens to
Yeah.
boys and girls. All you need to do is rub that thing and get that tingly feeling. You got some explaining to do, and
That's
you
it.
can't.
That's it.
I mean,
Everything is in the palm of your finger.
Brother,
That's why I
after
feel
that,
like
hey, after
parent.
that first tingle, it's a wrap.
it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you
And
got to try to put the genie back in the bottle.
no, it ain't gonna happen. And the thing it's getting harder and harder because like a lot of people, and I know some people that are like, hey, just go on, just get out my face. All that idle time, bro. You got to be careful. Like that's why I feel like it's very important to be involved because I'm like, hey, what you doing? This that there. Talk to me about it. I think it's very important to be involved in your kid's life because boy, that Palm
You need
Pilot will
involvement and you need,
Yeah.
see, one of the things is we had parents,
Yeah.
some of us have had parents who were active. But then you
mhm,
had all of some of our our counterparts, our peers, were given Game Boys, were given Sega Genesis, were given the
mhm,
Nintendo Switches, and so now you have people who are raised by TV now letting the internet
mhm,
raise their kids. You
right.
got kids who are raised by the
Yeah.
internet now raising the
Hmm.
kids to be on the internet. So
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
progression, and that's why I think it goes back to what we were saying about the trans and the homosexuality, the lesbianism. I think the problem is when you see as many people who are doing it, who are live with it, who are coming out this way. Some of our idols and some of our celebrities that we follow are starting to say they're open to it, like Will and Jada. Will has been our one of our favorites, but he's in an open marriage. How many people say, "Oh, I want to try that because Will tried that"? How many people, follow Queen Latifah to know that Queen Latifah, the brat, damn near all our rappers,
Yeah.
our female rappers are lesbians. So it's hard to
And
contain it when you can be it and be successful. If you could
yeah,
be
and
the way you want to be and successful,
I'm a re-
you say
yeah,
what?
and I think personally everyone I don't see a problem with it as long as it's who they are. As long as
Right.
it's not a quote unquote fad or something like that. You sideways now, Kev. But as long as
All
it's
right. Hold on.
who they are and they're living in their truth, there you go, brother. As long as they're living in their truth, I see no problem with it. And
What about those
honestly, I see
phases
no
when
problem
they
with it
think
if
it's
they're
the truth?
not because it doesn't affect me. Well, see,
Go through the
if it's a
phase.
phase, then
Hmm.
my advice would be don't make any long-term changes to yourself if it's a
Right.
doggone phase. But some stuff you can't go
Hmm.
back from. Let me read a
That's
couple of
the only
these
one I have a
comments and then
problem with.
I'm gonna tell you about the yeah, yeah, I'm gonna
That's
tell
the
you a little
only
bit
one.
about the history of what I found out. Some of these comments. Let me
So,
see. Jessica Robinson says some mothers understand how to balance their masculinity to raise young men as kings. It's not all single mothers, but there are men who raise homosexual men unintentionally. And
mm,
she says,
I think it come a little quicker with them
listening to
females though.
children, speaking to our children, listening to our children, and understanding our children is the best for each individual household. What you got to say on that,
Stop
Mark?
over sexualizing our children, and then we don't have to worry about it at all. Because because just as much as we are raising or allowing homosexuality, we're also growing predators. So the thing is, our children are overly our wait a second, not even our children, our community is overly sexualized. Then you
Yeah.
take that sexuality and you give it to children who don't understand. So if you're not sleeping with men, then you sleeping with 200 women. You know what I'm saying? So it's an imbalance on both sides. I just think one, we gotta slow down the sexuality in our communities altogether.
Let me ask you and Kev this question, Mark. Do you think it's more of an issue with the over sexualization or the lack of educating? And when I say that, I'm not talking about the school system. I'm talking about as parents as well. The being too busy to communicate, the not having the open door policy, the children being afraid to even be themselves around their parents, depending upon, how they are parented. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's more of an issue or is it the over sexualization?
Uh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say they both play a part because not being there can leave a kid confused, and just like you say, the internet will be guiding and society be guiding your kid's mind, not being there. But also with that over sexualization, it's everywhere. It's like you gotta be doing something like this. You gotta be trying to experiment, or you gotta do this. This is the cool thing to do. I kissed a girl and I liked it. I did like we pound these kids with all this sexualization. They say sex sells. So that's in everything,
Yeah.
so they feel like that's what I got to be doing at 12. And then you mess around and give them a phone with the internet, it's a wrap. But I'm going to say it's a little bit of both.
I'm
But
gonna say it the opposite way. I think I'm heavy toward the over sexualization.
mm,
The reason why I say I'm heavy that way is because when you get a certain age, we didn't a lot of this stuff you had to be grown and get out your parents' house to do.
yeah.
So to let
Yeah.
kids be themselves, I was afraid to be you old manish. I'm afraid to do some of this stuff
Hmm.
when I'm young. So that part, my mom and dad worked. We were in the church. We was doing stuff, but what we wasn't doing, we wasn't having no babies. We wasn't trying to,
Hmm.
we had talk about it, but we wasn't out here. I was like maybe 13, 14 when I actually started thinking about getting some.
Man,
I was actually, 15, 16. Some of my friends had babies by the time I was actually getting into it. So I think the other part is it's in the music, it's in the TV
Hmm.
shows, it's in the clothes. Wear these clothes, you want bigger butts. And a part of it is I think it's the parents. You got mothers out here who dressing skimpy and tight
Hmm.
and doing all of this. You got fathers out here saying, "Boy, I was a player. You what you need to do is you need to go over there and if I was your age, that girl right there,
yeah.
the crazy stuff we doing makes it possible for that." Then I think the environment with your kids, because if your kids are getting exposed to it, I think your kids exposed to it. Had a conversation. Once you have the real right conversation, you ain't got to have that conversation a bunch. You ain't got to have it a
Hmm.
bunch. We can get you condoms. We can get condoms and IEDs keep you from getting pregnant, but they don't keep you from getting luggage. They don't keep you from getting statutory
Yeah.
cases. So I think
Hmm.
stop the over sexualization, and then it's easier to manage as parents.
Hey,
Well,
real
let's
quick,
talk
I was
about
going to add
what was
too.
going on before. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna add this real quick because I work in the schools. When I was in high school, you didn't see like seeing a girl's stomach was didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Seeing all that stuff. Now that's what they do. And parents, like
Right.
he was saying, parents are doing it, and they think I hear grown women telling little girl, "Oh, that look cute on you." No, it don't. Like she's showing her body. You know what I'm saying? She's showing her belly button with the little crop top and I'm like, it's getting worse and worse, and the standards are going lower and lower. What do you think comes with that? I'm a little 15-year-old horny boy. What do you think? I see half your body. You got on the little spandex. You know that didn't even exist when we was in school. Them little spandex pants. It's a time and a place for them, but they're wearing them like to school to expose your body. So it's getting sexualization is raising, raising, and raising. So I just want
Because
to add that too.
self esteem is going lower and lower too. So
Right.
I got to do what it
Mm-hmm.
takes to be noticed,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I think it starts there.
Why being smart and funny and charismatic? Why that don't do it no more?
That
That
only
used to
gets you
do
on
it.
the podcast with that only gets you on the podcast with me.
Right.
Being
Yeah.
smart and funny only gets you a podcast.
Yeah. That
You
don't
got
work no more, man.
to get you some women. So
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll get you on the podcast. But let me tell you what was going on before these podcasts and all that stuff though. There was the first I guess I could say the first time it was uh spoken about or documented. There was a guy by the name of Bayer, Baer, who was the first man to have the surgery. He's transgender. But this was in 1906.
Mm.
Can you imagine? Now, I don't know what that entailed because the way the medical stuff is now is nowhere near what it was in 1906. So how in the world did they make that happen? And then the next documented one, when it came to a woman, was the first trans woman in 1952, Christine Jorgensen. You know that name, don't you, Mark? She was a singer. They said she was an actress, singer, everything. Yeah, transgender.
Mm.
But now that's just the first two that they talked about. Can you imagine the mental from everyone in between those and everyone after that until it got, normalized with people walking around not being their true self, not feeling comfortable in their own skin. The mental,
it's
what is it now? When you need a break. What do they call it now? What's the big thing going around when you need mental health? The mental health of all the people that's walking around not being who they want to be, who they feel like they were born to be.
isn't that
I fit.
isn't that
Go
all
ahead.
African Americans first though? I mean, you can't be
What? Which
a
part?
ninja at work. We can't be the ninjas we want to be. There's a lot of people that if I think you started it starts community. If there's some of the stuff I wanted to say at work to my boss the way I would want to say it, I think we're all walking around masked up. I think it's for the level of violence that it used to get people. I understand. I think it's probably more pressure to know that if you were to be able to say, "Hey, I'm this way. Hey, I think this way." To all the fathers or the sons who done got beat up because they came out to their father, I think that's unfortunate. At the same time, I think it's the representation of people, Americans. I think it's the representation of society. Women getting uh assaulted by their husbands, they can't be who they want to be. They can't. Women who getting cheated on by their pastor husbands, they can't. So I think there's a level of secrecy in America that comes with this freedom. At the same time, I think it's unfortunate that it comes with that freedom. There's a lot of people that just can't be free. So I don't think it's necessarily a badge of honor, but at the same time, I think it's a you know it's it's a it's a part of being free in the country. We all can't just be as free as we like because of the country we live in.
It's getting easier though.
And with
It's
that,
it should get
yeah, but
easier though, shouldn't
is that a lot of
it?
people swimming in fear?
Every yes.
You would think,
Okay, think about it
but
right now.
it's
The
the
legitimate community will cancel you if you do the wrong thing, right?
The what community?
yeah,
The legitimate. That's my word for the whole thing. The legitimate
yeah, they might cancel you for that.
LGBTQI.
Yeah. Oh, boy, they good and powerful, boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So aren't
they
we?
roll deep.
So don't we all live in fear for speaking against them? We live in fear. I mean, think about it. If we don't support Black Girl Magic, if we don't support Black Lives Matter, if we don't, somebody gonna cancel you. So necessarily, we all live in a level of fear as well as they live in a level of fear. I mean, I mean, it's two predator sharks, swimming around, seeing who has the most power. And right now, for entertainers, the legitimate has more power. For regular people, we have more power. I mean, so when we have dialogue like this, I think we are able to stand up and talk about it and have uh respectful dialogue without bashing. On the other hand, when it comes to public, they tore the baby down. They canceled the baby. They tried to cancel Dave Chappelle. I mean, so as much as fears they're living in, they're also causing fear.
Right. Yeah. I think they.
but
I think
I think entertainers,
they causing more fear
yeah, I think
than they
entertainers,
giving. I think.
but I think it's kind of different when it comes to entertainers, famous people, sports than us. When it comes to the fear aspect of it, is because they're thinking about their wallets.
Right.
If they get
Right.
canceled, that money stops.
Hmm.
We have nothing to. Well, I'll speak for me. If I'm asked a question, right, whatever I feel about whatever was asked to me is what I'm going to answer with. Yeah, I'm not thinking about no, oh, I gotta say this because if I don't say this, da 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 da, that's not gonna pop in my head. One of the main things that caused me to even be an entrepreneur was because I know me. And most jobs that I've had, whether you were a supervisor, manager, or whatever the case may be, if something happened that I didn't rock with or that I knew was wrong, guess who's saying something? Me. I don't think about the, oh, I might get fired for this and da 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 da. So when that happens so much, you say, okay, what skills do I have? This is me now. What skills do I have? What do I know is I can probably monetize? So I was like, hey, I'll work for me. You know what I
Right. But
mean?
think
Because
about 10 years from
that
now.
fear, what happens 10 years from now?
The same thing that happened to Kevin Hart 10 years from when he told that first joke. 10 years later, they went back and found that joke. So that's what I'm saying is the if he found
But
out
look
when
at
he
he's still doing him though.
yeah, but and I think he some are fortunate. He was fortunate. The baby's just starting bouncing back. So the thing is, I think maybe there's coming a healthy balance to being canceled and speaking out against it. But at the same time, if they want to go hard, I mean, all I'm saying is right now we have nothing to lose. And so we speak our minds freely. If these things, the irons in our fire start heating up the way we want, as we start getting sponsors and getting to that money, it's gonna be like, hey, we're sponsoring you. Nike wants to put an ad on here, but we want you to go back and say that you support or you're not against. You know, I think that's what Kanye was talking about when he said, that they control us.
So how would you do that? How would you do that, Salid? You blow up. We
Well,
blow up. And certain people want to pay us money and they tell us, because you said the reason you became an entrepreneur, which is a good point, is because you want to do you. I feel the same exact way. Do you continue to always do you, or do you just
Or
do you
get
with a
that.
spin to it to keep yourself rising? Because like Mark said, certain people are going to want to pay you money and they make the rules. So it's certain things you may or may not be able to say to keep that money flowing. So do you continue to be authentically yourself, or do you alter some things to to better yourself? You know, it's like a catch 22. Got six in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Nah, because I'm gonna always be me, and we we all know that there's a way to say things.
Right.
There's a way to say things. If somebody
Hmm.
asks me a question, let's say they say, "How do you feel about homosexuality?" My
Hmm.
answer would be to that, well, I'm not a homosexual, but if someone is, that's their right. That's their business. Period. Point blank. I didn't uh lean to the
And so I think
system, and I still stayed true to me because that's the way I feel about it.
right, I
That's
agree,
different
but I
than
think
saying,
that's what
"Oh
the
no, that's an
monster does.
abomination. That's da 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 da."
But
Well, they'll
depending
twist
on
it, boy.
right, but that's what I'm saying. Depending on the influence, or what that's what I think. I think Martin Lawrence. I think Dave Chappelle did it. Who else took a break from the? Richard Pryor did it. Bill Cosby did it. That you take a break from the industry and you walk away, because even Tracy Morgan. I think the problem is it becomes to where it's rolling in and all of a sudden they slip it in. They don't come. I don't believe that the for better, for lack of them, the Illuminati done come to you directly. They slip themselves in your contract, and the next thing you know, you can't say what you want to say because the Illuminati's
Yeah.
watching. You know what I'm saying? The secret handshake.
Brother,
Before you
hey,
can get your rap deal, you gotta sleep with men or go to the naked party. I'm just saying the way
Hey,
what I tell folks is read every part of that contract. You have to.
I'm telling you.
We have to be more proactive than reactive when it comes to a lot of this stuff, man. Because a lot of these
I
ditches that
agree.
people are getting thrown in could have been avoided.
I
They
agree.
could have been avoided.
Agree. But I'm
hey,
just
let me
saying
ask you this though.
they gonna
Let me
put
ask
it
you
out.
this though. The money that you could be making is not gonna come if you're being authentically yourself. So so you're gonna choose at all
Says
times being
who?
authentically you. Huh?
Let me
No,
tell
I'm
you. Let
at
me tell you
some
what matters
people,
to me.
sometimes it might not come because some people are not gonna pay you
Well,
if you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
do and say
you're
what
right.
they want you to say. So I guess
But
I'm
let me
asking you
tell
that
you this.
question. Even the way you just said that statement earlier, that's you being authentically you. Boy, the way they twist and turn stuff, what if you can't even say that? Are you changing to get yourself higher on the ladder?
For the 1.2
Or
mil, yes, sir. It's an
yes,
abomination.
or are you
Bruh,
just gonna be
if I can,
authentically you,
if
bump the money?
if I can't say exactly what I want to say, then I don't say anything. No comment is a great answer.
No,
No
they still
comment.
got that mic to your mouth,
Cause,
man.
cause
You
I'm gonna
got
Uh,
to
tell you
say
what
something.
matters to me.
Kevin,
I'm gonna tell you
Kev,
what matters to
for the
me.
right amount of
I'm gonna tell
money,
you what
what do
matters
you
to
need
me
me to
more than
say,
that
sir?
money.
For the right amount of money, I'm not gonna sell out for my. I'm not gonna be the opposite of
That's
who
what
I
it.
am,
That,
but I'm
that's what it.
going
If
to.
you're saying for the right amount of money, you will say what they tell you to say. That's exactly what that is. You're
For the right
saying
It,
what
amount of
it,
they
money.
it,
want you to
Listen,
say.
listen, listen. I want y'all to let me say it for the record right now. Y'all be my two witnesses. I'm gonna make us the money. Y'all know in my heart he mean different.
Let Let me ask you this.
That I
Now
know he
see,
just doing that for the check. Just treat
but
me that
see,
way.
right.
but see, that is this is why I said what I said. We would understand that. Let me tell you who wouldn't understand that. My 9-year-old daughter, my 11-year-old son, my 11-year-old daughter. They don't understand that. I care more about the image that I give them than a check that somebody gonna write me to be a puppet.
I
Because
understand.
You know what? You know what?
I can tell
I'm
them.
in the middle of you both. I'm in the middle of you both. I'm not Mark saying that. Tell me what to say, baby. I'll read it off a teleprompter for that check. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm getting from you, Salid, is you're going to be authentically you, and I respect that. But
Oh,
I'm riding that wave in the middle. I'm not. You tell me to say some stuff that you tell me. Hey man, I need you to convince people that you believe in the devil, bro. That's too left field.
How
Boy,
much
that
money
check
is
look
behind
good.
it? How
Hey,
much
that
money?
check look good. See
is
that
it
what I'm saying? I'm in the
too
middle.
is it
That
too
check
left
look
field
good.
if they
I can't.
offer you?
Huh?
Okay, we got to tell the number.
Is
Hey,
it too
now
left
I'm
field
becoming an
if they
actor. I
offer
guess I'll
you
put in
30
my mind.
million?
I guess I'll put in my mind. I'm an actor, baby. They just want me to.
For
They
20
just want me to be
million,
somebody.
for
I'm not.
20 million,
But
can you say
hey, let
that?
me ask you a question though, Clips.
Man. Yeah,
For 20 million, can you say you believe in the devil?
That,
boy, listen,
and
boy.
that's the
Ooh,
thing.
boy, I hate you even asking
Now
me
you
this.
get it, and then what do you feel like? What do you feel like though when you cash that
I,
$20 million
Daddy, I'm home.
check and you go
I'm gonna
home
pay tithe. I'm gonna go
and
somewhere and
wait
pay
now,
tithe.
you go home and your
I'm gonna go
child
pay
walks
tithes
around
with
you.
it.
Baby,
Let's
go get
say,
on
but
your
let's say
golden
you go
parachute
home
and
and your
shut up.
child won't come next to you, and you like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Dad, I saw I saw on TV where you said you love the devil, Dad. You know, now they scared of you and stuff like that. But you got that 20 million though.
I,
But now your kids looking at you
hey,
different.
I'm gonna explain it to them. Listen, you know I don't believe in no devil, boy. Listen, now get in there and go put your clothes. We finna go fly
Boy, you
to
better,
eat it somewhere.
you better, you better turn on them lights and thank the devil later.
Listen, you know I'm an actor. I'm an actor at
Because
this
I'm
point.
telling you, one thing that I do know is anytime anyone feels like they can have some leverage or they can make you do something, it doesn't just end at that. It's always gonna progress. You know, if you
That's
say,
life.
and this is just we just
That's
no, I'm
100
talking
million
about
working Americans.
now we
Jobs.
we talking about
Yeah, that's a job.
hypotheticals now. But it starts
Mhm.
as the devil today. But what if next month they want you to say that all black people are evil? All black people should
So
You,
be
so where
taken
you,
from
you
the earth
all
and
y'all
so
this
what
and
need
that.
Jesus.
so where you at with it, Mark?
Then what?
All black,
Listen,
they got you turning on
listen.
your kind.
I'm going to say. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna be dead honest. I'm gonna be dead honest. Somebody got to pay the price for the people to be free. I'm going listen. I'm gonna send y'all I'm gonna send you 5 million. I'm gonna send you 5 million. I just need y'all to advocate and say that's not the dude we knew. We understand why he did it,
Uh,
but let me make this money. The thing is this:
but
my
You know
mama
what's
used to
gonna
tell me
happen?
this. She said I do stuff for free. I've had these heartaches. I've had to shuck and jive for free. I've had to say some stuff I didn't want to say for free. I've had to take some apologies and take the low road for free. For the right price, I will take the road for the right price now. If you want me to sell out some of my authenticity, you just gonna have to pay for that sellout. It ain't gonna be no happy
it's
meal.
just a higher price, right?
It's just a higher price. And the
Okay.
truth is this: at a certain point, at a certain point, the only reason why I don't lie is because you can't whoop me. I used to lie because I was afraid of getting whoopings from my parents. Now you can't whoop me. Listen,
Mm.
if I died tomorrow with $20 million because I told people that I love Satan and black people was evil, then take that, take it. I'd take it because I was probably gonna go to hell or do whatever I was gonna do for free. So now at least I did it for. Listen, if there's a soul selling store, I need to go.
A
Jay-Z
soul
sold his
selling
soul
store.
for $400 billion. I can go sell my soul. I don't give a have this soul. Run me my money. I'm tired of being poor. I'm tired
Hey,
of working.
hold on. You know what
You know
selling
what's
your
gonna
soul
happen there.
mean to me? Selling your soul mean to me is if you believe in it or not, but you going to hell. Now I know you ain't gonna let nobody pay. It ain't a price for
I'm
that.
going to hell for the free shit I done, so I might as well.
So you might as well get
I
paid for
know I done some free stuff. I know I done some free. I done some free hell work. Can I get paid for it? I done been an intern for hell. I might as well get paid. Listen, and I'll take y'all's instant and be like, Lord, they was on me. They didn't believe that. That was me too. If Jesus could pay the price for all of us to go, at least he didn't get nothing but heaven. Can I get 20 million? Okay,
This
you know
man
what?
said nothing but heaven. Like,
yeah,
he
like
didn't
that's
like
just
heaven is
like that's
below
just
the 20
light
million.
work. Right.
He was
He went around
already
the corner.
listen.
Ooh, boy.
Here's the only problem I had with that. He was already in heaven. So it wasn't like he knew what he had to do to get back. I've never been a millionaire. So I've never been there. So just to get there once, and all I got to do is say I love it. I don't listen. Some days I don't be loving my own
You know
kids or my
what's gonna
mom.
happen,
Well, I
right?
know I can say I love the devil.
Wow.
Mama,
What's gonna happen is Mark gonna do this. As soon as he get the check, they're gonna change everything to Bitcoin. He ain't gonna
right?
give you.
That's what I'm saying. They gonna get. Listen, no, you know what's real bad. You know what's real bad. I'm gonna just for you, Kev. I would get my 20 million and go to church. Lord, forgive me for all my sins.
Hey, then the Lord gonna take it.
Then he go listen. He ain't taking more than 10%.
Somehow.
Now wait a second. Now see, this would make me love the devil. If the guy take more than 10%, then he might as well be the devil. God damn it.
He gonna say, go shoot Kel 3 mil, man.
No, he ain't gonna tell me.
The
I'ma already
storehouse.
be knowing. I'm like, Lord, I need a good alibi. He gonna be like, what about Kev? Wasn't he a
Hey,
good?
you know what? I ain't taking none of that money. I don't want none.
Okay, don't worry about it.
No, I want
Say,
none.
are you good?
Hey,
Y'all don't want
I'm like
y'all don't want none of
like
that.
Meech.
Money.
I'm like Meech them mama on BMF. We can't take that money.
Okay, I bet you. You know what's funny? The funny thing is this, and I say this to everybody: all the money we get now is dirty money. Every dollar you, you work hard for somebody, but somebody out there doing some dirt to get your money. So all of it's dirty. You just gonna know the guy. That's it. But I'm gonna get you right. I'm gonna get you right. 20 million.
That can be a whole nother. That can be a whole nother story episode right there. But on this one no more. If since we talking about parents' feelings, if your child came to you the same way Dwayne Wade's son came to him, would your approach be similar to Dwayne Wade's, or
Absolutely
how would you approach that?
No. Well, first of all, gender is a fact. So what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna be changing facts in the middle of your life. This ain't the facts of life. We're not about to sit up here and get you. You can do that when you're 18. You can do that when you're 21. And as in my house, we're gonna go by these rules. In my house, my daughter knows that your job is to do the best you can, get these good grades, be polite, clean up your room. You ain't even worried about you don't even know you got an identity. Because like my daddy told me, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. You don't know, you don't even know you have a gender. So to be talking about can we switch it? That's absolutely no.
But what they do have are feelings and thoughts and their own understanding for what they feel like, what's going on with them. So is yours, correct me if I'm wrong, so yours is just straight up no, not happening. When you get grown, you can revisit that.
Yes. Like nose rings. All the thing is this: for now, I'm not telling you I'm not against it. I'm not telling you I'm for it. What I'm saying is we can't even look at it until you complete your job. And your job is to get out of high school and go to college. Once you do all of those things, let's do it. I think the aspiration is, or my mom has a PhD in psychology. And so one of the things is your kids need you more after after they turn 18 than when they are 1 through 18. You ain't experienced life. You ain't met no strangers that you had to live with. You ain't lived on no college campus. You ain't got a bill or credit card, nothing in your name. And you ready to change your identity? Wait till wait till you get $50,000 in debt and you ain't got no job to pay for it. If you gonna change your identity, file bankruptcy before you change your identity. Because your identity, you don't want to mess around and blow up this identity and need to run back to the other one. When you change your identity, you need to change it for a lot more than just sexuality. There's some other stuff that you might witness something that the mob is for you, and you not to go in the identity protection program, the witness protection program, and now then you got to change your identity again. No, you just got to wait on that. We gonna wait on your identity until you smear this one all the way up. F up
Hey,
your life as a girl or a boy first. You gotta get it bad before you want to switch it. You can't just switch it because you feel like it. Make sure it's bad. Make sure that you are bad. Like if you want to go from a boy to a girl, go out there and be a real bad dude. Go out there and be a jerk on dates. Go out there and get you 100 babies and then switch your identity. That way they can't find you. But don't do it and you ain't even got no blemishes on your record. That's dumb.
hey, what I was gonna say to that is, I think we all can agree at a young age, like you said, you haven't experienced anything. So you sometimes at a young age, you don't even know how to make a decision on small things. Like
Yeah.
you've never paid a bill. You don't know what taxes are. You don't know what nothing is other than the little small third grade stuff in school and stuff like that. So I don't believe that you're equipped mentally to make that big of a decision. You've seen something on TV a couple times and you know the girl in a grade that's higher than you that's doing it. So now you feel like you want to make that big of a decision of those limited resources that you have. No, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to hate you when you turn 18 or 21 and make that decision. But I personally, as your parent, don't feel like you're equipped mentally to make that big of a decision. And to hint on what you said about the Dwayne Wade thing, me personally, I think that's all Gabrielle Union. I think that Gabrielle Union runs that marriage, and she thought it'd be a good idea, and he has, I ain't gonna say zero, but close to zero say so about that. I think Gabrielle Union just runs him and the whole marriage and the whole Zaya thing
I don't think.
being
I think he makes.
transgender.
I think he's just progress. I think he thinks he's a progressive parent, and he's doing the. I think he thinks he's a liberal parent. The only reason why, the main reason why I wouldn't do it is because I've heard stories that once you make the change, sometimes that equipment just don't work. That's the that's the hard part. It just don't work the way you think it. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say they ain't as mm, it looks it, but it don't fit. It don't work like that. It looks like pie, but it don't. It don't work like pie.
But they
Like,
still may want to be the opposite gender, though, whether it works or not. I
but
get
see,
it though.
and that's where I think parenting comes in. You can never be the opposite gender.
Right. I agree with that.
Never. There's nothing. The best
Mhm.
technology that you can do, you cannot have a you. I heard this dude say this on Instagram, and what he said was he said if you put 100 women and 10 men on an island in 100 years, you'll have a thriving island. If you put 100 trans women and 10 men in 100 years, you'll have 110 dead people. That's it.
Well, riddle me this.
So
Riddle me this, and we'll we'll end it on this note. Now, with you saying the conversation, with you guys saying the conversation that you would have with your children, does it change the conversation if you um see, notice, or hear the pain and the hurt and turmoil going on within that child, like suicidal thoughts, depression, all of that? Does it change the conversation then, or do you just say, hey, you just deal with it? Like I said,
With them
blah
trying
blah
to
blah blah
fight
blah.
it, with them trying to fight
No,
it
with
because I'm telling them,
they come to you, they come to you, and you respond the way y'all said y'all respond, but you see that that's not acceptable within the child, meaning the child is depressed now because they feel like they can't be who they think they really are. So does that
right.
change the conversation? How do you approach it then?
That's a pickle, man. That's a big deal. I feel like because you may know in your heart as an adult that's been their age, you may feel like they're going through a phase. You may feel like just like Mark said, you can if you're a boy, you can never fully be a girl. You just may be thinking that that's what you want to do. So it's gonna hurt as an adult. But I think that you don't want to push too tough because you never know what this child could go through. But I just don't know. I gotta be right in the middle of that. I don't know how to approach that because you might be still pushing like, no, you cannot be this, but whole time that's putting so much pressure on them. But at the end of the day, that's not gonna go on in my house. However, we gotta put them pieces of that puzzle, or I gotta explain it, or we gotta go through therapy or something until you're old enough to make that big of a decision. You can't make that decision and do that. You just can't.
From 1 to 35, I wanted to do bad stuff to my dad for the decisions he made. My kid gonna have to feel the same way. Yeah, you might want to take yourself out the game, buddy. You might want to do whatever you want. The answer's still a no. Dad, I'm not sleeping, and I'm thinking, but then look, you gotta get your life right with God. The answer's still no. I
What if you
think
tell them no, but they still gonna do? You can't say you ain't gonna do it. What if they? What if they
no. I'm
life is
saying you're
being
not gonna
somebody
do
that's
Yeah.
it.
gay?
You can do it later. You
Mhm.
can. My mom used to tell me this when we were going out on dates. She said, "I'll let you use my car, but I'm not giving you no money to go get no honey. I'm not gonna give my kid the resources to do the change in my house.
Let me ask you this.
It's just gonna be hard for you.
Let me ask you this. Have your parents ever told you no to something and you did it anyway?
No, not at all.
Boy,
What about
listen.
you, Ted?
Are you sure?
Uh,
Yes.
okay,
I
okay,
think
wait.
that's everybody breathing.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm thinking on the magnitude of something like this. Like my mama say, don't take her car.
I'm talking about
There's not
period.
a there's not taking no cars. There's a no on taking the car. That I'm the you know how you know how I listen. I'm still here today to tell y'all about it. That's how I know it was no taking the car. Some things, some things you gonna sneak and do, yes, but some things when there's a no, you know when your parents said no, you knew better than that. You knew
Yeah.
all the way better, and this is gonna be
You
one of them
knew
one.
you knew better than to get caught.
Yeah,
No, you knew better than to
You knew
do it.
better than to get caught,
Well,
so you
no,
ain't never
brother.
did nothing that your parents told you not to do.
okay, I'm not. No,
You
no,
are the
no,
goat. You are the goat of
no, no,
golden
no, no, no,
child.
no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are some things that you can do. Your mama say don't come home late. You might come home late. Your mama say clean up this house. You might not clean up the house. My mama say don't take her car or don't eat this, bruh. That thing could go molded in the refrigerator. I'm saying there's some things you knew better than. And this would be one of them things. If I told my mama, like, yeah, there's some things.
But listen, bro. What
My
if it's
thing is this.
somebody that you like? What you gonna say? What you gonna go back to them? A child gonna go back to man? I can't do it. My mama said I can't be gay, bruh. If they wanna do
It's
it,
not gonna happen. Yeah.
You can tell them they can't. You can't be
Listen,
gay in this house. They
I'm
gonna go
not
to school and do whatever they want to do.
see, and I think that's some modern children. And don't get me wrong. I think you're gonna try, but I think we did not smoke weed in the house. We love weed now. We didn't smoke weed the whole time we was growing up. We knew we had to wait. That was
But you
not for
smoke weed outside of the house though
no. That's what I'm saying. We had to wait till we was grown. We
to smoke
smoked in my
weed.
yeah. You
No,
not
no,
without
no,
smoking.
no,
weed
no,
plant.
no, no. This is what I'm saying. Okay, perfect example. I'm glad you say that. You said your mama probably didn't want you smoking it, period. But you knew not to smoke it inside of the house because it was a no-no.
And when
But did that make you not smoke it, period? Or did you go
not
smoke it?
smoke it until I
Uh,
was grown, until I
other
left her
places,
house.
or you
No, that's
smoke
what
it,
I'm
period.
until I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke. I smoked when I was 17. My mama said, "You better not ever smoke this again in my house." I was 40 when I started smoking weed again.
But that ain't all like I'm sure it's a lot of kids that are it's frowned upon that they can't be gay. They fight it. They probably say, "Man, I know this will make my parents upset," but they go do it anyway. I'm pretty sure that happens
I
a
no
lot.
see the thing is I don't.
Well,
So
let
again,
me get this in. Let me
I
get
ain't
this in.
saying not be gay. I'm not. I wouldn't want them to transition. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if my kid is gay. That to me, that
Like,
should be.
like, I mean, they're not gonna be able to at 15. Go get surgery and all that stuff.
Some kid. That's what I'm saying. Some kids are doing getting other people co-signing, guilting
Oh,
their
okay.
parents into it.
So that's different. Yeah, I think you can put
Well,
your foot on
I
that.
don't know about
I'm not
that.
gonna let you go transition. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I think you can
gay.
say no to
I
that.
don't.
But
To me, I'm not as.
hold
To
on,
me,
y'all.
I'm not as. When it comes to what you want to do sexually, I ain't gonna stop you, and I ain't gonna put a restriction on that. But because, like you said,
Yeah,
I
because
agree
it
with you
can't.
there. You can't stop
Tracy
them from
said,
sneaking and doing what they're gonna do.
Right.
yeah, you
That's what I
can't
was
do
saying.
it. Tracy said,
Yeah, I was
people
thinking more
always
of the
say therapy,
transition.
therapy, 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 therapy. If that's who they are, that's what it is. And I absolutely agree. You can't, there's no amount of therapy that's going to make a person change from who they actually are. That's like saying we can all go to therapy, and when therapy is completed, we'll want to be women. There's no amount of therapy that
There's
can change who you are.
or hypnosis or well, for the right amount of money again, fellas, I'll take one
Oh,
for the team.
Hey,
For 100
hey,
million, I got y'all. For
at
100
what
million,
age?
I'll be a
At,
girl.
at what age do you think that you can confirm who you think you are? Do you think you could be 12 years old and be a boy and say, you know what? I've came to the conclusion I truly want to be a girl. A girl. Do you think that at that age you can make a sound decision on
I
being
don't
the
think it should
opposite
be
gender?
allowed until 30.
I think it
I
depends
think
on the
it should be a
child.
legally 30 years old. I think you should legally have to be 30 years old before you are able to make a transsexual change.
So how old were you, Tracy? You say you lived it.
I think that's what a lot of
Tracy
parents.
said she's
Yeah, I'm saying how old was she when she feel like she can truly soundly make that decision? I want it to be the opposite gender.
Yeah, I think you should at least be 30, 25 at the earliest. I think you got to get out and experience life. Like I think you absolutely got to get out and experience life before you make those kind of changes.
They may
I
feel like they want to live it. They want to live life, but just as the opposite gender. Like I'm a boy, but I want to live life as a girl, and I know that now at 10. I mean, I feel like people are feeling like kids can make that decision. I don't agree
A
with that.
kid can't. A kid, if a
I don't
kid,
I don't agree with
if a
that.
kid can make that decision, then kids should start to be able to drink alcohol at 10. Kids should be able to drive at that. If we won't let them make decisions that affect society at
Not at that
10,
age, right?
then we should not let them make the decisions that affect society at that age because you changing yourself from a girl to a boy affects society.
Big
So
time.
you that at least the bare minimum, let's just say we follow all the rest of the rules is you're an adult at 18. You should not be able to, your kid shouldn't be discussing this or this shouldn't even be an option until your kid is 18.
It's almost like renting a car or getting car insurance or something like that.
well,
The car insurance company knows that most people are not mature enough to be safe in a car until 25. So I feel like that's a decision that should be a
Yeah,
certain age
it's
before
a
being
it's a
made.
definitely that's what I said 25, 30. Because at 25, you're just now experiencing life. You're just now You just now left college. You ain't got no more education technically per se to go after. You're done with college. You're technically done with your parents. And at 30, you are now really you've had those 5 years, and now you're comfortably. You know if you're a contemporary or modern person. You know if you like neo soul or blues. I mean, at certain age, you have weaned yourself off of your parents' uh, thinking, and you can move forward. You should not be able to make a transition until you're at least 30.
Well, let me read this comment here because Kev asked Tracy a question, and this is the answer. Tracy said, "I raised a child of one gender who suppressed for many years because of how I raised them. It was 24 years old when it became too much and it became dangerous. So I set her free. My child was never butch, never displayed tendencies. God's sakes, even had a boyfriend, but it never was who they were in the end. None of that matters in if the end result is the same. So basically, her daughter went through the motions of what was expected for a girl to be having a boyfriend, dressing feminine, all of that stuff. But inside, she was in pain. She was like, I'm living a life that's not comfortable for me. And so her mom
Right.
set her free and like, hey, be who you are, be who you choose to be. And her daughter was a lot happier for it.
Do you
And
think
see, for
that the
me, I
fact
could do
that
that.
you think that the fact that that was the ultimate result made her ready to make that decision at a young age? Because that doesn't necessarily mean that she was making a sound decision at that age. I think that just was the end result. That's just what it turned out to be. So do you think
No,
that
I think
now,
she was
hey, you know
24.
what? She was
Yeah, I
she
think
was
she was
24 when
24,
she
Kev.
made that decision? Right. Okay.
Well,
And she's
once she was set free, she was 24.
okay.
But
So
she
are you
felt
saying
this
that we
way.
should have set her free sooner because that was the end result? That's what she wanted to be. So now do you feel that now we should allow younger people to make that decision because
Absolutely not.
yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying. Do you think that that made it
So
okay because
here's where I'm saying with this, because this is the way I see it. My kid is 10 years old and says, "Hey, I don't want to go to school." No, absolutely. That's just not. I think there are certain choices that we don't leave to kids, and I think that's the problem is I think we can get our kids input, we can hear them, we can listen to them, we can have conversations. At the end of the day, I think one of the things that left after Gen X was we wanted our kids like, you get a vote in this situation. And the truth is, I think we have come to a society where we've empowered our kids enough, and our kids feel like, oh, if they don't give it to me, I'll just, you're destroying my mental health, you're destroying my feelings. Then they're going to be blown the fuck up in this house. They're destroyed. We're going to destroy them. And I think that's some of the parenting we got to get back to, because if we don't get back to that parenting, then our kids, they're reassigning genders now at birth. That's, come on. You didn't want
so
a girl, yeah, no, I
let
can't
me
do it.
ask you this to compare to that situation. You said something about a kid maybe saying they don't want to go to school, right? When that
Right.
kid becomes 18 or 20, and this is a perfect example, maybe they don't go to college, maybe it turns out they just hated school. But that doesn't give me the right to say when they're 9, hey, they say they don't want to go to school. Let me just not let them know. They have to go to
Right.
school. But when they get 18, you could be a freaking college dropout, or you don't have to go to school anymore. But when you're that age, you don't have the right to make that decision.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. From 0 to 18, I'm
but
setting,
see, but
I'm,
see, this is me though. This in that particular situation, the first thing that would pop in my head wouldn't be no. When they say I don't want to go to school, first thing that would have popped in my head is why. The why.
Oh yeah,
I
of
need to
course.
understand
Right.
why don't you want. Do you not want to go to school because your teacher is touching you? Do you not want to go to school because you're being bullied? Do you not want to go to school because you feel inadequate? There are a lot of things that, you know, I'm gonna have to darn dig up before I give that
Mhm.
no, because that may alter my answer. You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, I'm using I'm
I
using
think a
an
lot
I'm
of
using
times
this
we're
in the same aspect of as the gender. I don't want to go to school because I don't feel like it. No, it just no. It's not a the same way I would ask about why do you think you want to be gender or why do you feel this way. I would have the same questions. But if it's a I feel like I don't need school. I feel like I don't want this. I wouldn't entertain that at 9 and 10. That's not an entertain.
yeah,
That's not an entertainable conversation ever. There are certain conversations I don't want to go to church. That's entertainable for me. Okay, you don't have to. I can't. I don't want to force religion on you. That I don't like going to grandma's house. We might that might be a break bendable. Sometimes you got to go, but this is your family, so you learn your family. But not going to school. That's not happening. I want to go sleep at my boyfriend's house. That's not happening. There's certain things that are. I think that parents have to revert back to and say we put our foot down. We put our foot down on certain things. There certain fashion items. We don't wear that. My daughter is 8 and her mother has put her in makeup. And I have repeatedly told her, listen, at 8 years old, this kid don't need no makeup. Not never, not play, not dress up, we don't play makeup. We not finna play around with it because we're not gonna get her in the idea that she needs makeup. And later now she's got these craters and pit. Y'all seen the girls who wore too much makeup and they face start breaking out when they 17 and they can't do nothing now but wear makeup. We not creating those habits. So I think it comes back to having a healthy set of parents who know how to have regular rules. You can have some leggings, but you ain't having all leggings. You can wear a skirt, but you're wearing shorts up underneath it. I mean, I think some of the old school has to come back into parenting, and we can regulate some of these feelings. But to let kids just outright make their own decision because they get a vote, no, I'm not that gentle of a parent, and I don't think we should be.
well, see,
I
that's
think
one of the
that's just kind of
reasons
where
why
we are.
that's one of the reasons why the old school parenting won't come back is because a lot of the parents that are um, walking around now that have those kids that fit that demographic aren't modern or old school parents themselves. Because it's a lot of parents out there that grew up in the times that we grew up in, and they have specifically said, "I will not raise my children the same way that I was raised," and so they
I
go
don't think you
totally
should
left
raise them the same
when they
way,
were raised
but you
with
got to have
these
some
freedom driven.
rules.
Some of the
Yeah,
Not the
morals and
yeah, I agree.
values
I
should
agree.
should remain,
Tracy said,
and they don't.
Yeah, not the abuse part. Our parents would whoop us upside the head for no reason. I don't think we have to be as abusive, but we do have to be as stern about some stuff. That's where I'm more concerned is you come in the house, you do your homework, you get in your play clothes, you change, you do your chores. I think some of the routines and regiments that worked as growing up then. Now you don't do your homework. That don't mean go in there, take off your clothes, let daddy find a 2x4 and beat the shit out of you. I'm saying I don't think that part we need. We can talk. We can take away the telephone. We can take away TV. I mean, there are certain punishments that our parents did to us that work. The holding your arms out, the sitting in the chair on the wall. I think there's a way of doing corporal punishments that work, but the more so about the old school was the morals and the values. You don't talk back to adults. What if somebody says do something, you do it. If you have a problem, you call me. I mean, things like that. I'm thinking more of the morality and the politeness and the consideration we had is that we don't talk to strangers. Now they're saying talk to the stranger and see if he see if he's depressed. We didn't do none of that. You saw the white van dude offering candy, you took off running before you could get there. If you see somebody doing something, you stop bullies. I mean, things like that. We don't stop bullies, we just start recording. So I think that's what I'm
"Yeah,
saying, more of getting back to the old school, having the moral decency fiber to be a good person and a good, honest person and a cooperative person, a cooperative member of society. That without throwing temper tantrums. And we didn't have a
Yeah.
bunch of Karens back in our day.
Well, a lot of yeah, because a lot of them weren't in the same neighborhoods we were in. But let me read this comment. Tracy said, "I hear a lot about parenting. I'm here to tell you I raised a goddess valedictorian, beautiful and the epitome of a great person. Knew how I felt in certain situations, which led her to hide her true identity until she couldn't. So there is absolutely nothing anyone can do once a person chooses to live in their power. How are you moving?"
And that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't stop
And
their identity. I'm saying I would stop some things that go with the identity. My dog,
mhm,
I was a drinker. I'm a heavy drink. I like alcohol more than I like drugs. So I let my daughter have, like, you know, coolers and stuff. Not every day, but if we were at a special event and everybody was getting wine, you can get some wine. You can have a glass. So I think there was a moderation in which I parented her to not be a stickler for that, but and let her. But at the same time, you ain't she you're not going to spend the night at your boyfriend's house either. So I think within moderations, there's a tolerance and there's an understanding, and then there's a boundary to where we don't overstep this. We don't do more. Like, I know some people who their girlfriends get kicked out the house and their parents let them move in. Baby, I'm sorry. I understand that life is going bad for you. The shelter is right down the street. You won't be, we're not doing that here.
I
I just
understand. Tracy's situation is more
let me
understandable
let
to
me
me.
let me
She
say,
was, know what I was just saying is she was raising her as a
no,
young lady, and when she got to the age to make a decision and live in her truth, she did that. So I'm really not mad at that situation. I'm really not. But I just feel like she played the role until she got old enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm an adult. This is what I'm going to do. So I think that that was played well, actually.
right. And I don't think you would stop. I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference for
but
me
do
in
you see how it got like that though, Kev? It got like, hold on, Mark. Hold on a second, Mark. What I was saying though, Kev, it was that way because she was saying her daughter never let her know. So she didn't know. Because of how
Right.
she was as a mother, her daughter felt like she couldn't, you know, say certain things. So she didn't find out until her daughter was 24 years old. So it was kind
But
of
I guess
different because she said she did all of the things that's being discussed as far as parenting and goes. She said she did
right.
all of that. The decision was already made. She just didn't know. Now, this part, and I want to say something to this. Michelle said, I agree with Mark on this one. Some things we need to get back to with old school parenting. Today's parents want to be the best friend and not the parent. This is what I have to say to that. It doesn't matter how old school you go back to with your parenting. These aren't old school children. So it doesn't
Right.
matter about your old school parenting. And this is and I'm going to speak from personal experience with this one. This is what I mean by that. My daughter, one of my daughters has a bracelet with her initial on it and another initial on it, right? I know good and doggone well that that other initial is some boy, right? Probably. I ain't gonna say it is. Probably. It's probably a boy. I asked her what the initial stands for. It's a D, right? You know what she tells me? It stands for dad. Now, I know it doesn't stand for dad, but do you know what an old school parent would have done then? Let me tell you what my old school parent would have done. Probably cracked my forehead and said, "You gonna tell me what that means?" Da, 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 da. So was I supposed to do that?
no,
That would be
No, I
old
feel
school
like
parenting.
no, no,
no.
no, no. That's not what I.
That's
That's
okay.
my
The
point.
piece.
this is what I'm
What
saying. This is what I'm
what do
saying.
you
In
do?
that
What do you
scenario,
do?
and I'll be brief. In that scenario, I feel like you should try and create a good enough rapport and relationship with her that she feels comfortable enough. Now, the old school ways I'm talking about, and I agree with Mark as well, with the foundation. Like kids are not. We said sir and ma'am to every soul that was older than us. You know, like as an adult. And some of the things he was mentioning earlier, you know that street light rules. Hey, I got to be in the house. We respectful to young adult, you know, to adults and stuff. They're not respect. They say, what? They talk back like the foundation of old school isn't there anymore, and that's what I'm talking about. But I'm
Right.
not talking about. I agree with whooping you and doing that old school thing. I wouldn't advise you to do that. To me, I would say, you know, don't try
Oh,
to
yeah,
force
that's
it out
not
of her
how I
because then
parent
that's
anyway.
yeah, because that's gonna
Right.
make them
And that's
miserable. I
what
ain't
I'm
telling
saying
them
old
not
school. I'm
Yeah,
saying
that's not
without
how I
the
parent
abuse.
anyway.
I'm saying the
right,
rules without the abuse. There's a way to discipline your kid without physically putting your hands on them. At the same time, there's a way to discipline your kid by setting a boundary. Your school clothes got to be ready in the morning. You don't lock your door in my house. My dad, we locked the door. My dad kick the door down. No, I know how to just take the door off the hinges. Now you ain't got to worry about locking the door or put one of them passive lock that you can't lock. So I think there are things that we can do, things that we learn from the old school that work, manners, uh, fundamentals, routines. But then some things from the new school that work is, like he said, having a conversation and spending time with my kid so they don't feel like they got to hide stuff from me, being able to accept certain things. As she's a little girl, she might need a little privacy. So you want to say that's a Adifa's dad, that's cool. Now I hope that dad that who got you that bracelet treats you the same way your dad does. I mean, there's ways for me to get into having that conversation without. I think when we all think old school, we think of the abuse that came with it, the trauma. When I think of old school, and when I mention it on here,
Nah,
I'm saying the rules, the foundation, the discipline, the strictness.
and see, when I think about old school, I think about all the times I wanted to say something but didn't because there was no open door
because you couldn't.
policy. All of those conversations that my children have with me, I would have never in a million years had those conversations with my father. I just wouldn't
Right,
have brought it up.
but I think
Now,
that's the
a lot of the
progression.
things, yeah, because all things change. Just like we change as parents, our children are different than we were too. There are a lot of things they deal with that we didn't have to deal with, and vice versa. There are certain things that are like you were speaking in the beginning about the hustlers and the playboys. There are certain things that are accessible now that weren't accessible then so readily. So all of that changes an entire dynamic of thinking, actions, and the whole nine. So if the world is changing in that manner, how do we feel like, oh, you know what? You know what can fix it? We'll just old school parent. You know, it's because what
I can. So
happens
old
when
school
you
parents,
attempt that old school parenting.
I think some of it comes from.
What happens when it doesn't work?
But here's the thing. That's the thing that I think the old school parents did that did work. They were in your face about it. Nowadays, parents be
What?
like, I said clean up your room and walk away. Our parents used to say, clean up your room and get a chair, sit there right in the door until you got that room clean. My dad had a
It's
cold.
the accountability is not the same.
Yeah, that's what I think the problem is as parents, our parents, let me say it this way. This is the best way I can say it. Our parents started at such a young age that by the time you was 15, 16, you knew better than to do certain things. They laid that whole foundation. They was there. They checked your homework. They woke you up out of bed if it wasn't done. They called your school teachers and all of this. So you couldn't cut the corners. Nowadays we say, oh, our kids are smarter. They know how to do this. They know how to do that. And so a lot of parents don't follow up on it. So for me, when I say old school parenting, that means we got to get ourselves back in check. We got to get ourselves as in bring me your school clothes. Is they ironed and stuff? Let me see what you're wearing the next day. Now I know you're not wearing nothing tight to school.
Yeah, there's no the
I
accountability is
get what
not
you're
there.
saying, but I get what y'all are saying, but we're getting off topic because what you're saying has nothing to do with what we're talking about as far as who the children feel they are. See, we talking about homework, cleaning rooms, all that kind of stuff. How does old school parenting affect when your child feels like they are in the wrong body or they feel like they're homosexual? How is old school parenting gonna deal with that?
You
Because
know
I
how to
think, go ahead.
go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead, kid.
This is what I was gonna say. It doesn't affect it. It does affect it. It affects it with fear, and now it's being hidden. That's how it affects it. Because an old school parent will make you fear coming to them with it. It's not going to change that they feel that way, but they'll fear coming out with it. So
Exactly.
they'll just keep it stuffed deep down inside. It's going to come out sooner or later, or they're just scared to come out with it. But new school parenting
Yep.
is a little different. So that's, in my opinion, that's how it affects it. Just fear and keeps them scared of bringing it out.
And
It doesn't.
also, here's the other thing that I think
Tracy,
contributes.
Mm.
Go ahead.
1 second, Mark. Tracy said being trans has nothing to do with dress up as someone else. It's who they truly believe they are. It's way deeper than what anyone live it who doesn't live it will ever understand. I was an old school parent. I chose my child in the end because let's just use this example for instance. If Tracy would have continued to be the old school parent, you know what I mean? How would that have affect her child into adult age? Because you can be an old school
They,
parent all you want to. Once that child, 24 years old, when her daughter came to her, at that point, even with you still being the old school parent, that doesn't change what your child has dealt with their entire life, feeling like they had to hide. That doesn't change what your child feels like as an adult with knowing because it's one thing to know that your parent may not agree, but when
mhm.
you feel like you're looked at like disgusting or you may feel like they don't love you anymore, and that's not to say that they don't, but we don't know how they feel.
What it
When it gets
changes
to
is
that point, again, what do you do?
it changes it's not going to change her, the daughter. Is going to change the dynamics of their relationship. And good thing she
Yeah.
chose her daughter in the end, because she was going to be like, you know what, I'm grown, she don't accept me, I ain't got to fool with her. And then who knows, they go 2, 3, 5, 6, 10 months without talking. So it changes, not going to change that daughter, but it would have changed the dynamics of their relationship. And I think that it is important that you chose her in the end.
I think the other part that when I think old school, I also think parents involvement. Even when some of our parents, even if they didn't get along, you still had to go be with your dad. You still had to be with your mom.
Right.
In a lot of the new school ways, moms are doing it on their own, or dads are doing it on their own. Or so when I say get back to the fundamentals of it, I think a part of feeling that way is maybe watching your mom do it all by herself, and that was the only influence. So and when I was growing up, when my dad wasn't there, we had uncles. So I think a part of the old school that often gets overlooked is the village. The village was involved with your kid. So when you feel this way, why do you feel this way? Do you feel like this is the only way you're gonna get love? So some of the questions, I think it comes out in the wash of being around the village, being in the village. The village helps you understand it, helps that kid understand it, helps a lot of things because you get love in different ways. I think sometimes, I don't think it's a necessarily something you're trying to change, as opposed to helping the kid understand, helping the parents understand. And I think sometimes early understanding helps, hey, your kid is going to be like this. Well, how can you accept it, mom? Or your kid felt like this because she thought that you loved his sister more. And so he decided to act like his sister. So I think that the village being involved, and when the old school, setting fundamentals where, you know, now you're finding out you keep having your daughter go pick out school clothes, and she all she do is pick out pants. Okay, do you not like dresses? Well, no, mama, da 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 da. So I think some of the things that you get to, it made it easier to I don't want to say easier to detect as it's something you're trying to detect, but I think it shows things. It exposes things by having that old school thing. And to
That
me,
village.
old school is not a I'm not saying the old school is the best way, because there are definitely some improvements. But when I think old school way, I'm thinking some of the language that we use, some of the verbiage, some of the restrictions that we use that would stop you from it. Like I didn't see Playboy till I was like 10. I was 10 years old, and I got caught watching the HBO box with the squiggly line coming down the middle. You couldn't see it. So my dad had a code. You had to punch in the code to watch adult movies. I think some of these things are the things that the old school did that we can I mean, parental controls. We can put these back into place. We don't do it partly because we lazy, because we want to look at it whenever we want to look at it. So we leave the door open. So I think, like Kev said earlier, our accountability to ourselves has gone away. Our accountability, or saying, what, me and your mama don't get along, but we got to be parent. A lot of it is ego. Ego has made some of our parenting bad. Like, we ain't gonna ask for help. We ain't gonna get no. We don't want nobody to know we struggling.
That
I
village
mean,
don't exist no more either that you was talking about.
yeah,
It's very some. I see some families that still a tight knit, but I remember being at my grandma's house with 30 of my cousins. And
yeah.
my grandma tear my behind up. I had to go. But now I see a lot of individual families raising one or two kids, and that's kind of like all that kid knows as far as a household. So that village is you
And
know what
it's
I'm saying,
usually just mama.
diminishing.
It's you, and that's what I'm saying. If we could, when my dad wasn't around, we went to this thing called Michigan Association for Leadership Development for Men, and me and my brothers had to go out, and we were learning how to be leaders. I think that's what I'm saying. Now, granted, you got. I'm not saying there's not a solution set that's going to work. You just got to keep working until you know it absolutely doesn't work. And that means you got to try everything. And I don't think, again, I don't think this takes away from stops a kid from being who they are sexually. I don't think it changes that, but also it helps give that kid that fundamental. So when they are thinking about this, like, I don't see the people here doing that, or I don't see this, or I don't see that. If you expose your kids to a lot of stuff, I think it takes their mind away from focusing on stuff like that. We had a lot of stuff to do growing up. Ride our
Right.
bike, fly our kite,
Yeah.
Transformers, Michael Knight, the A Team. We had stuff to do. We ain't had no time to be thinking about girls for a long time. And by the time we did think about girls or boys, we was ready. I mean, we had sex ed in school. My aunt took us to stuff. We learned about AIDS and herpes and all of that stuff when we in 1990. So by the time it came down to it, I was scared. I was like, nah, bro, nah, I can't touch you. You might get pregnant, and I can't take care of a baby. I mean, so I think some of the conversations happened too.
I'm a I'm gonna read this last comment from Tracy, and then I'm gonna say something on those lines, and we're gonna end it for night, y'all. Tracy said it just prolonged her suffering until it was too much, and she lived with a man at the time. My kids lived in a two-parent home. And with that being said, I'll say this: my father and my mother never had a conversation with me as a child about sexuality, about what's right and what's quote unquote wrong when it came to that. You know what I mean? I didn't have that conversation, but I can remember vividly when I was in the third grade. I went to the bathroom, and this boy, I won't say what his name was, but I remember it, came in right after me. This is third grade, and he tried to kiss me and caught a left hook. It wasn't because of something my parents taught me about, no, boys shouldn't be with boys, things like that. It was because I knew that I didn't want to kiss a boy. It was a personal feeling that I had. It didn't feel natural to me. So, with me knowing that at that age, what didn't feel natural, you also have to understand that there are certain things that do feel natural. So, when it comes to these kids saying what feels natural to them is liking the same sex, or they feel like they have more feminine traits in their boys, or vice versa, there needs to be a lot of deep conversations had. Because that's a little different than saying, hey, I want a basketball versus a football. Some of them are saying, hey, I am in a boy's body, but I feel like I know I'm a girl. So we have to find some kind of way to um have open lines of productive communication. And that does it. I think a lot of times people feel like just having the conversation means that you agree or you're co-signing something. No, we trying to understand too. I know I'd want to understand, okay, why does my child feel this way? I want to know, because I can't come at it like I know it all, because that's something I haven't dealt with. I haven't dealt with that with my children. I haven't dealt with that within myself. So I would be, hey, my child would be teaching me something. Like, what makes you feel that way? What exactly do you feel like? What kind of thoughts do you have? I'm be asking all kinds of questions. Take us on out, Kevin, Mark. What are your ending comments on this subject?
Hey, I'll be brief, man. I'll say at the end of the day, I feel like I think it's safe to let a child develop first before making that big of a decision. But also at the end of the day, you can't fight with people with who they want to ultimately be. So sometimes you just got to try to accept them other than fight them. But I do feel like there's some roots we can go back to kind of help things as far as old school, not the, like you say, beating their brains out, but just some of the village type, habits and things of that nature. But I feel like I surround my boys, and like Tracy was saying, she was doing the same thing. I surround my boys with manly things, and I'm sure people won't agree that that works all the time. But I just try and raise them to be leaders and manly leaders, and just I'm thinking that's who they're going to turn out to be. So I mean, I've never had to deal with it. Hopefully, I don't. But at the end of the day, you probably just got to roll with it and accept it. But it's a sticky situation, man. But you know, that's my ending thought.
Oh yeah,
And
it can be sticky like glue. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
for me,
Go ahead, Mark.
I think that the ultimate goal is to realize these are people who are going to be themselves at some point. My I think parents' goals should be to raise the kid to make the best decisions for themselves and how to be ultimately leave this place better than they came. I'm not here to discuss who my child sleeps with is totally up to my child. Who my child wants to transition into is totally up to my child. However, as a parent, I'm going to, while I'm being a parent, I think it is our duties to ultimately drive them in that decision the best way, in the best vehicle they can. If my child wants to transition later, we're going to make sure you have all the psychological therapy and everything bef- before you're 18, so that when you're 18 and you want to do that, all the groundwork has been laid. If you don't, then it's on again, all the groundwork has been laid. And I think that's the only thing that I think parents should look for is lay the groundwork for them to be the best people they can be, even if they're different than the way or that we think they should be. That's the goal. The goal is to get you to the very best outcome that you want, and we don't necessarily have to make that outcome before you're 18.
All right, and with that, I'm gonna say I respect both of you brothers' opinions, conversations, dialogue tonight. I thank you so much because I changed it up a lot. I changed times up a lot. I done changed days because we were supposed to have this conversation Thursday, and then that changed to the day. So I did a lot of changing this week. So I appreciate y'all
In the
for
middle of
riding
the
that with
Alabama
me.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, but thank you to everybody that's watched on YouTube. Thank you to everybody that's watched on Facebook. Everybody that's gonna be listening on Spotify and Apple. I appreciate you. Um, tell somebody to tell somebody to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Kingship Productions. The book Poetry of Love dropped last Saturday. So go to www.poetryoflove.com, purchase a book. We'll be back, hopefully, prayerfully, God's willing. Next Thursday, I'll be back with another topic, and we'll be doing smooth Saturdays. It'll be a lot lighter next Saturday, y'all. I promise. But y'all got anything else to say before we get out of here, Kev and Mark?
Nah, nah, man, you
Love your
good, man. I
kids,
enjoyed the
no
question.
matter how they could turn out, and roll tide.
There you go. I'm with that. Love your children regardless of how they feel within themselves, especially when we're on, this subject here, because love is a powerful thing. And definitely communicate well, communicate, listen to them. Y'all know by now where to find Kev. Y'all know where to find Mark. We appreciate y'all, and we'll get back with y'all next week. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Have a safe holiday weekend. Be who you are. Keep pressing forward. Peace, y'all.
All right, man. Good night.